So this bar originally belonged to a Setite named Kafka.
Interesting. I'm curious to hear about how it is no longer in this Setite's clutches.
You're familiar with how the Independent Alliance initially ran Las Vegas?
Last call, Holly.
Well, not initially. There was one of our clan, Prince Benedict, before that, and there were some Giovanni rabble around. But this was before the Independent Alliance. When they came in, they decided that the city would be the centerpiece, the pinnacle of their society. It didn't last very long, but it was a shining monument. Well, that was the case. There was, I think you met Sybil Carter.
I'm familiar with her, yeah.
I want your tea, please.
She had some terrible bodyguard named Nocti or something. But most of those cleared out. But there was this one Setite named Kafka that still had a few interests here that he wanted to maintain. And he decided.
Hey, baby. Mama's gonna be home late tonight, okay? She needs to run to the doctor real fast, okay? Yeah? Okay.
Gentlemen, excuse my tardiness. Thank you for attending.
Mr. Orlock, I presume.
Indeed.
It says here Rufus.
Yes, please call me Rufus.
Would you like a drink?
That would be most kind.
Personal stock. You'll appreciate this.
It is the opinion of President Dunn that Ayla Cord views the Anarchs as an ally of convenience and has used them for her own advantage.
Isn't that what the Anarchs are for?
What do you mean by that, Mr. Pratt?
The Anarchs are a tool. A means to an end, more often than not. They're the frontline soldiers in the war against the Sabbat.
You don't consider them to be the forerunners of a modernization effort of Kindred or a revolution?
A passing fad, perhaps. A more moderate viewpoint than our adversaries, of which they were born out.
Mr. Costa, what are your views on the dynamic between the Anarchs and the Sabbat? In some ways, some Kindred consider an Ouroboros, where a snake eats its own tail. Sabbat rise from Anarchs, Anarchs rise from Sabbat. Back and forth it goes.
Sounds like you've got it figured out.
Oh, you would agree?
No. But why would I spoil such a metaphor?
What is your opinion of the Anarch Movement?
I'm not interested in joining at this time.
Have you ever considered membership amongst the Anarchs?
Well, the past couple of years have been turbulent. There were times when I considered options. I would do nothing without checking with my sire, though.
If Lord Costa had approached you, Mr. Pratt, what would you have said to him?
After I was done laughing and rolling on the floor. I'd be too out of breath to say anything else. But the point would be made.
Do you believe that the fundamental principle is true, that elders dictate our every act? I'll start with Mr. Costa as the youngest.
Do you think it would be possible to create a world in which you would be free of such influence?
The Anarchs claim that it is possible.
Well, this is similar to the claims of the communist revolution, that we could be free of human desire, of greed, that we could somehow transcend the power struggles that make up society.
Do you think this is possible?
I think that a great many can be killed in trying to prove the case.
What do you think, Mr. Pratt?
I think everybody has ideals that have some form of oppression, whether it be elders or anarchs or Sabbat or independent alliance. Everybody is trying to exert some sort of control. That's all it comes down to. There's those that have control and those that don't. Those that can wield power and those that can't. And you're always going to have the ones that don't know what to do with power or don't have any of it, that will say, well, them out there, they're the bad ones. But you look at their methodologies and you know that they squander what they have. And that's why they're a dying breed.
Since I've asked about the Anarchs, and you've given your answers, I would ask your thoughts on another sect, a new sect. I speak of the Independent Alliance. Mr. Pratt, what are your thoughts on this newly grown arrangement?
Well, I see the logic in those disparate clans joining forces for mutual benefit and defense. But they're so very, very new. I don't think they truly know where their direction is going. They don't have enough time under their belt with all of their ideas. Who knows if they'll be around in 50, 100 years.
Mr. Costa, same question to you.
I consider the development of this sect to be a positive step. I don't expect anything of value from this sect, but I don't think it will accomplish very much. Maybe they could create some action against the Sabbat. But the two primary clans which make this sect, one is known for finance, one is known for their influence among kindred, among boons. And I am definitely a fan of the free exchange of commerce.
Mr. Costa, what do you think of the proposition raised by some that the Independent Alliance was forged as a life raft for the Lasombra clan seeking survival and exodus from the Sabbat?
That would be fortunate. That means that that ship is sinking.
Would it not also mean that many of the criminals responsible for the Sabbat would escape justice?
What do you think about this? You're asking if by joining this new sect, these Lasombra would be escaping justice.
Indeed.
What would be the cost of bringing this clan to justice?
The lives of a great many Anarchs.
Some would consider that to be a worthwhile sacrifice.
Since you mentioned death, I would ask you, Mr. Pratt, for your opinion of the sovereign Nosferatu Prince of Nashville, Galen Fisk. What is your opinion of this prince?
He is a fine servant of the Camarilla. He is a necessary force of order in a domain that needs a firm hand.
And you, Mr. Costa, what is your opinion of this Nosferatu prince?
I've never met him.
Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Your thoughts on his reputation, then?
He has a reputation.
Lord Costa, what is your opinion on a kindred known as Cornelius Wenthworth?
He is the current prince of Las Vegas.
Indeed.
That's the peacock, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Pratt, what did you mean, the peacock?
A peacock is a bird that struts and flashes its plumage. Lots of show, no substance. Kind of a dry bird.
Does that opinion reflect your own, Mr. Costa?
Well, I might want to be acknowledged by him at some point, so I will have to differ for my sire. Politely, of course.
Then what are your thoughts on the Torta Prince?
I have been out of the city since he has taken this role. Or just prior, actually.
But did you not serve on the Primogen Council of Las Vegas for a long period of time together?
Yes.
What were your thoughts on the man then?
That he was wiser than he was often given credit for.
The artist known as Vivian Carver has said that Prince Wentworth was informed about the traitor Prince James Connery by none other than herself. She says he chose to do nothing. Do you believe this charge?
I don't know enough to say for certain. It doesn't seem unlikely, though.
I will ask you directly, Mr. Costa. Do you believe you have ever caused the death of an innocent?
Among the kindred, no.
Among man?
Unfortunately, yes.
Mr. Pratt, amongst kindred or human, have you ever caused the death of an innocent?
Aren't we all born sinners? Is anyone truly innocent until they're dead and judged before God?
Well then, Mr. Pratt, I would ask you, when you appear before God, do you believe he will forgive you for the things you've done?
Well, as I don't believe in God, I imagine I don't need to seek his forgiveness.
Mr. Costa, do you believe that God will forgive you for the things you've done?
You're referring to Judgment Day?
Or your final night?
I believe I'm a Catholic. I'm a bit more secular than Falconane was. And I've never tried to evangelize to my sire. Because I don't believe in God so much as a being, but more in the church as a structure and the ties of community. I believe that with structure we are capable of great things. And often this requires some sort of unifying story. If one needs to believe in a final night where their deeds will be judged to keep them on the straight and narrow, then there may be some utility in that. I take a more expansive view of my actions.
I'm excited to see this cottage you built.
It's beautiful.
My cup size is a 36C.
That'll do.
promised land to those who know and seek this power. The one who has already infiltrated your domain is the most terrifying seeker of all. He will destroy you for this power. His agents are already among you. You have not questioned them, but instead poured out your secrets as a harvest to him. You have let him into your weakness, loves, and fears. You have been blind to Las Vegas. You will die if you do not open your eyes. Open your eyes. The war has begun.
What the fuck? You idiot! What the fuck? I give you one job. You fuck that up. You let this idiot run rampant through the city. He could ruin the purpose. What the hell? What use are you even? You find him, you bring him to me. Even his sire won't be able to save him now. You'll be lucky if you're alive by the end of the night.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Lydia.